What's up, people? We are back. The final round of the triple header. A dominant win for Lewis Hamilton, really cementing his intent to fight until the end. For me, it's felt like it's been more than a triple header. It's felt like we've had more than 3 races. I know we had the sprint race too, so that's probably a bit why, but it just feels like we've had Formula One for like the last 4-5 weeks in a row. But hey, let me know what you thought of the race. Was it what you thought it would be? Was it as exciting as you thought it would be? Was there as many overtakes as you thought there would be? Let me know down in the comments below. Before we get into it, don't forget to leave a like and hit the subscribe button.
It's lights out and away we go, and it's a good start for Hamilton, it's a good start for Alonso, and Gasly could be under pressure soon. Just a few more corners to go for Lewis Hamilton, who started the fight back in terms of the World Championship chase when we were in Sao Paulo. That fight back has continued here with back-to-back victories for Lewis Hamilton as he now sees the checkered flag in the distance, powers down the main straight and comes home to win the Qatar Grand Prix.
Now, before I get into the weekend, I just wanted to mention racing in Qatar at the Losail circuit, which is a MotoGP circuit. I wasn't too optimistic about what kind of race we would have. But aside from the racing, the images of the circuit at night were absolutely amazing. The imagery we get from the cars running at night, damn, don't these cars on the circuit look good at night. The whole weekend was dominated by stewards. We had the hangover from the incident in Brazil. Now, I'm not going to get into all of it, but Mercedes' request was denied by the stewards, which was actually announced while Toto and Christian were in the press conference. The media definitely doing their work, being the prime stirrers between the two championship protagonists. Anyway, moving on. We had qualifying on the normal Saturday, and from the get-go it looked like Mercedes and Lewis had bags of pace and were going to be very strong around here. And so it was Lewis taking pole with Verstappen in P2 and Bottas in P3. Gasly, the star of qualifying, qualified in P4. Or so we thought, because Gasly had a puncture during the final Q3 rounds, which meant we had yellow flags, double waved yellows as he crawled on the side of the track. Max and Valtteri did not lift. There was more steward summons after quali. Come race day, Max had been given a 5-place penalty, Valtteri 3, and Carlos Sainz, who was also summoned, got away with nothing as he proved he had lifted off on his last flying lap. So at the start we had Gasly in P2 and Alonso in P3. And there was big talk of Alonso attempting to go for the lead at the start. Knowing Fernando, it was possible as he was on softs, but knowing the pace that Lewis had, especially during qualifying, I knew if Alonso did make it into first at the start, then Lewis would inevitably take the lead, such was his pace. And with that, Lewis got a clean getaway, leaving Gasly and Alonso to fight. Somehow, Max was in P4 by turn 3. Now, I thought this race would be a bit of a procession with so many high-speed turns, but we actually got to see some overtakes, and it was actually way easier to overtake than I thought. Egg on my face. Max had managed to get himself into P2 and actually showed some decent pace, but Lewis had everything under control. It wasn't long until Lewis and Max had left Alonso in third and had a whole pit stop of time behind them. These two, man, they're just on another level this season. I couldn't give them enough flowers. Lewis really protected himself from the undercut, and at the front he had a really simple race strategy. Cover Max's stops, maintain the gap. Max himself tried today, but he just didn't have the pace Lewis had. Solid drive from Lewis Hamilton today. Perez, who had a bit of a dreadful qualifying, was the one coming through the field, showing good pace aiming for that P3. Not far behind was Bottas, also aiming for the same P3. Alonso and Bottas decided to go long on a 1-stop while Perez went for the 2-stop. And it was hard luck for Bottas, who got a puncture. Following that, it was puncture, 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 Oprah style. Completely destroying people's races. Bottas had so much damage he had to retire, so it was left with Perez to catch up and pass Fernando. A big ask, but during all that, Latifi had a puncture and ended up retiring at the side of the track, which then triggered a virtual safety car. With this, it also meant Verstappen, who was so far ahead, made another stop to go for the fastest lap, which he did. So in the end, Lewis took a dominant lights to flag victory, with Verstappen starting from P7 finishing P2, and Fernando Alonso managed to hold on to take his first podium since 2014. Ocon, his teammate, confirmed a solid weekend for the Alpine team, finishing in P5. Lance Stroll, coming from a bad weekend in Brazil, had a really strong weekend, beating his teammate Vettel and finishing in 6th. The boys in red, Sainz, finished ahead of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc really struggled this weekend, but the team discovered he had a damaged chassis and managed to get that change for him. He came from 13th to get some solid points for Ferrari, both ahead of the McLarens in 9th and 12th. So Ferrari again extended the lead in 3rd place, and it's looking very, very difficult for McLaren right now with only 2 races to go. Just back to Fernando really quickly, it was nice to see him get a podium on his return to the sport. Another driver who, if he had the car underneath him, would definitely give the championship a strong fight too. Pierre Gasly, my guy, went from P2 and finished in P11. Big sigh. He was so good on Saturday, really the star of qualifying, but he just didn't have the pace to make the one-stop work today. It's all good though, we move. So looking at the championship now, the gap at the top is now 8 points with just 2 races to go, and in the Constructors' Championship, the gap between Mercedes and Red Bull is now just 5 points. Another new circuit up next, F1 is headed to Saudi Arabia for the fastest street circuit on the calendar.
So there we have it, another video. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment down below if you thought I left anything out. So there we have it, another video. Leave a comment below if you thought I left anything out. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. I do post a lot of content on Instagram daily, so make sure you're following. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video.